Well, welcome back to Stewart Arts. This project, I don't know what you call this thing. I call it Handmade in America. This started off to be a bandsaw box, but nothing worked out right, so I ended up doing something entirely different. I hope you enjoy this video.
I picked up some cypress scraps on the side of a road from a demolished trellis, and I thought long and hard what to do with these things because they weren't in the best shape. Very weathered and a little bit cracky. So this is what I decided to do. I thought I'd try my hand at making a bandsaw box, but didn't work out because these curves for these openings were way too tight for my bandsaw, and I ended up not being able to salvage the material that I took out of these openings. So I made these first 4 drawers out of some scrap wood I had on hand, and when I got to this point I thought this might make an interesting video. So from this point I'm going to show you how I made the drawers and put everything together with these 2 larger openings as a starting point. I got this nice thick piece of sapelli. This is actually 2 boards glued together, and what I've done here is for these other drawers I just put my openings onto the piece of wood here and just trace out my patterns here for these last 2 drawers. So just kind of find a nice spot for it, and there you go. And so now I've got these on here, and I can cut them out on the bandsaw and then clean them up on the spindle sander. Safety-wise, I'm always wearing foam earplugs and a charcoal filter mask, a 3M filter mask, anytime I do woodworking operation that raises dust like this.
My little drawers are cut. They need a little bit more sanding. I'll do that off camera, but I'm almost ready to start putting the drawers on, the faces and the backs of these. I've got some thin sections of sapele, and those will make nice drawer backs and fronts actually. So I'm going to do the backs first. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just tracing out my shapes on this piece of sapele here, and I can cut these out on my scroll saw over there. So I'll cut them a little bit large and then glue them in place, and then I can always trim them back later. All right, the back panels are pretty well cut. They're all a little oversized, for the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue them on and make sure that they're overlapping. I'm using some heavy, thin, Loctite CA glue. This is a fairly quick drying glue and also very strong. And I could probably just hold this here for a minute or 2, but I'm going to go ahead and clamp it so that I can do all of these real quick. And got to make sure that I have a little bit overlap on the back so that when I cut it back on the sander, I can just bring it right into the right dimension here. So I'm glad I have a lot of clamps. I cut all the back plates a little bit oversized here, as you can see, and I've got, this is the back side of this thing, and I'm going to slide the drawer in there, and you can see it won't go all the way through. So I'm just going to go back over the sander and trim these up. All right, the drawers are done. I'm ready to put the face on this. This is really kind of the bones. You're not even going to see this when it's done, but it all had to be put together solidly. I put the back plates on, got them all glued up, and everything's trimmed down. And so now all these little drawers fit in here. They slide pretty nicely. They're not super tight, and they're not catchy either. So I think it'll feel good pulling the drawers in and out like that. Cut these things off the fronts here, and I feel like, you know, these are kind of neat. I'm going to throw those in the scrap bin. Maybe I'll find something to do with them. And just here's a look at the back of this. This will all be sanded and painted here. Off camera, I worked on the drawer fronts, and really nothing magic about it, just cutting these things out. So we have a thumb,
The index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and of course the pinky.
and in the palm, to cover this this one, I'll have an emblem right here. So that's going to be a little piece of art that I'll have to work on separately. I bought a whole bag of these little electrical thumb screws at a yard sale years ago. I had no idea what I would do with them, but today it looks like they'll make excellent little drawer pulls. So I've center drilled all my drawer fronts here and put the little brass through it, and there's a nut on the back of it. So those will now be glued onto my boxes.
I'm using my super glue here to attach the drawer fronts, and it's really the same process as I used for the backs. And I didn't bother to clamp. This glue sets up pretty quickly, you know, within a minute or two.
Press it in. Hold it for a few seconds here, and then I'll set it aside and do the rest. All right, the little handles are installed, so let's see how we fit up here. In case you're wondering, I do have these drawers numbered, so I know kind of where they go. This is number 3 here. Goes like that. There's number 4, and last number 1. So it fits pretty good, actually. They pull in and out fairly smoothly. I'm pretty much ready to go to paint on this thing. This one here, this large one, will have its own little medallion. I'm going to put a medallion on this. And so I've got to paint that separately, and that'll be a little project all by itself. And some primer here using some 50-cent Oops paint from the big box store. I always buy these, and they always come in handy for this kind of project.
I did the artwork just using acrylic paints off camera, and I enjoy doing the painting. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it. And I apply a Zinsser shellac to all the outer surfaces to protect the art. I'm planning to enter this piece along with some other pieces of my work into the Martin County Fair Arts and Crafts Show coming up here next month. I'll be real interested to see what people have to say about this.
So I hope if you like this video, you'll leave me a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do. Push the button. And I'd also like to just give a shout out to my good friend Skip for helping me with the videography on this video, and also the stop motion work that we did up front.
Thanks, Jim.